When I think about Revival and Reformation, a story that I've just recently been involved in comes forcibly to my mind. As part of the Arise School that we run, we had another young lady that came, and her name was Jen. Now, the exciting thing about Jen is that she was raised in a very strong, very committed Christian home, and she became associated with a number of Adventists who she regarded as strong, on-fire Christian people. They made a very positive impression on her, and they advised her, hey, we went to this little school, a school that I helped to found and run called Arise, and it was a huge blessing to us. Why don't you consider going? So she said, okay, I'll go, and she came 29 years old, 30 years old, very mature, very wonderful, beautiful, spiritual person, just to kind of see what it is that these Adventists believe so that she could better understand her own Adventist friends. Well, she comes just to stay for the 2-week program, but the context of the 2-week program was teaching people how to give Bible studies to people like Jen. So as she sits down in the first Bible study, she realizes, wait a minute, I'm learning how to give Bible studies to people like me, basically how to explain the great truths of Adventism. Well, as she's hearing these truths, she's being convicted. Her heart is being warmed, and she's seeing this not as a rejection of her Christian experience and her former experience, but as the outgrowth of that experience. And what ends up happening is so beautiful. She stays not only for the 2-week, but she stays on for the full 4-month program, makes a decision to further extend her own Christian experience. She sees this as the logical progression of what God has been doing in her life. Her uncles are pastors. Her grandfather's been a pastor in a well-known evangelical church, and she's talking to them. This is what I learned about the Sabbath. This is what I learned about what happens when you die. This is what I learned about the character of God. And she's dialoguing with them while she's learning these things in class that day. And I had the privilege of baptizing her into the church that she just came for 2 weeks, stayed for 4 months. And now, believe it or not, she is going with those Adventist young people that had made such a positive impression on her and had recommended originally that she come to India. And she said, God has always laid a burden on my heart for India. She just has a burden and a passion for India. She's going there for the purpose of bringing the message that she's learned and heard to others, including her family, but also from to the farthest parts of the globe. So it's just, again, an example of how these things don't have to happen over long periods of time. When the conditions are right, when there's prayer, when there's Bible study, and when the Spirit is there, revival, reformation happens just very quickly on God's timetable.